I wanted to give you a look at the Sony SRS x77, not to be confused with the previous model, the X7. And I know a lot of people do seem to confuse them, and because I see a lot of reviews that are really bad, talking about really heavy distortion and bass reduction at max and volume on this. And while it does do it a little bit, it's not that bad. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are talking about the X7. And I bought this a while back, sold it, and I wanted to rebuy it because I've been a bit disappointed with some of the reviews. Some of the speakers are getting rave reviews right now, such as the Vifa Helsinki. I know this is Vifa Helsinki, which is so overhyped. Is a decent speaker, but so overhyped and overpriced. And I'm thinking, you know, there is other speakers that are pretty good for around that sort of price mark and less, such as the X77, which is just not getting a mention, going a bit under the radar. Given I think this has been out for 2 years, at least a year. I don't really get it. Because to me, that's the Helsinki is a little bit anemic. Yes, okay, audiophiles love it. It's so crystal clear, but it's not much fun, and it's not great usability wise. You know, it's not a great party speaker. It's not a great travel speaker. And in terms of value for money, I really think this kills it. Well, from my memory, it did. As I said, I sold it, so I thought, right, you know what? I've been waiting for that. Was Clavinet Junkie? Anyway, the guy who normally does the Bluetooth reviews seemed to be the go-to guy for Bluetooth speaker reviews. He, for some reason, refuses to review this. Doesn't like some of the lesser models, and I think he said he moaned about the X7. And I did mention in one of the comments that this sounded great compared to some of the speakers he's been reviewing. So he's not comparing it. So I thought, right, I really want to do an A/B test with the Helsinki, which is why I got it again. As I said, at the end of the day, nothing compares to the usability of the JBLs. You know, they're not as refined, they're not as articulate, blah, 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 but they're just so usable, not least because, you know, they used the mini USB, so it's so easy to use these on the go to charge, and that you can use them in stereo. And even speakers like this and the Helsinki, you've got to use their proprietary charger, you know, but that's just how it is. But that's why, I mean, you get guys, audiophiles, you know, really laying into these JBLs, but completely missing the point that it's supposed to be fun. And these are, if you're an audiophile and you really want great music, why are you using Bluetooth speakers? You know, that's never going to be, you know, your lossless high-res files, is it? I know Bluetooth 5 is coming along, but for now, it shouldn't really be saying, you know, it's not a hi-fi speaker. Of course not. They're Bluetooth speakers. So anyway, there are some great features that I like about this. First of all, quick overview. So yeah, it's a really boring grey style. I think they do this in grey. I think this is a grey version and a black version. So I don't know if it's only the grille that they say is black and grey, but anyway. So it's like a brick, 1.9 kilos. You know, it feels quite weighty. You know, they've not gone out of the way to make it, you know, stand out from the crowd, but it's functional. But, you know, for me, these are great pitch speakers. You've one on each side, and you got yourself a party. So yeah, basically an overview. So this is a 40-watt speaker. It's got two 46mm drivers, and for the bass, the subwoofer is a 62mm. And it's also got a couple of passive radiators. The frequency range, they say, is 50 Hertz to 20,000, 50 Hertz to 22,000 over Bluetooth. So it's got, okay, so on the top here we've got near field communication, so you can quickly pair it for near field communication if you hover your phone over that bit, but it's a bit painless anyway for Bluetooth. There's no problems. I found the Vifa a real problem connecting over Bluetooth, but anyway. So power button and indicators for the audio that you're on. So indicator for audio in if you're just using the jack on the back. The Bluetooth telling you what the Bluetooth connect status is, if it's connected or not, and if you're using Bluetooth. So you can use this as a network speaker. So you can stream over your Wi-Fi, and you can do that. Sorry, you can stream over your network, and you can do it by Wi-Fi or by Ethernet. There's an Ethernet cable connector on the back. So you've got a volume up and down if you want to use it by the use the volume on the speaker itself. You've got a charge indicator, and it does actually tell you when you're going into low charge. But of course, these indicators are all there, and if you're sitting in front of the speaker, well, what do you see? Nothing. So that's what I mean by usability. And I just don't really understand when they design these things. They don't really think them through, but it's not a big deal. Most speakers are like that. Yeah, so all the indicators are there if you're not sitting right in front of it. So on the back we have, so there's your aerial if you are using Wi-Fi. You can, so obviously if you're leaving your Wi-Fi on and you're just using Bluetooth, it's going to soak up the battery, so you can actually switch that off. So there's a switch there for on and off your network. Then you've got a reset button, you've got a WPS button, so you can do a brainless connection with your Wi-Fi. You've got a USB DC out, so you can use this as a power bank. You can use it to charge your peripheries if you wanted to, but you couldn't use it for anything else, so it's only one way out. You've got your LAN connector, got your jack, your audio in jack, and you've got your connection for the proprietary charger. So that's just the basic overview. But what is nice about it, and far too few manufacturers are doing, is that you can embed your own equalizer settings on this. Now, this comes by default, so you're going to have to get the SongPal app on your phone or whatever you're using by Sony. That's their app for this, and that by default embedded in this is Clearaudio, and that's basically an automatic equalizer, and it works pretty well. So the idea is it fills in the bits of the songs that it thinks it's missing, and it emphasizes certain songs, but differently depending on the actual track and the genre and the quality of the track to start with. And that works quite nicely. So the effect that has is it makes it louder, more dynamic, adds bass, adds treble. So it's kind of a V-shaped sounding equalizer, but it does give the sound overall a more dynamic feel. But what is good is that you can, within the app, you can set your own. First of all, you can turn off the Clearaudio and you can play it flat. So you'd go into what they call their normal equalizer, and you'd get the profiles that are already in there, and one of them will say flat. So turn it to flat, and that turns off the Clearaudio. But there's also, first of all, you can use their equalizer profiles, but you've also got a custom setting. So brilliantly, you can, that's only 5 band, you can actually tailor the sound how you want and not have to worry about it being on the phone. It's actually embedded in the speaker, which is brilliant. And so I find if you use Clearaudio, it's brilliant at up to, say, 70% volume. As you go towards maximum volume, it does drastically reduce bass and the overall dynamic feel of the songs. It does ruin it. And I'm guessing a lot of these bad reviews is because they're leaving it in stock setup and they're using Clearaudio. But if you turn it off and you put on the flat profile, so you're running it in flat mode, it's not enhanced. Well, they're all enhanced to a certain extent. It's pretty good, right up to maximum volume. Not that much distortion. It does reduce bass a bit, but it's not drastic. It's not like the JBLs. I mean, they basically cut bass off altogether. But on this, it's not bad. And the main thing is, for me, that's a £250 speaker, and because it's been out a while, well, actually, you can get it for $229. In the UK, this is a £229 speaker. And pretty consistently, you go on eBay, you're going to see these for around £135. So for the price of one of those, you can get one of these. And if you only got one of those, this is going to kill it. This is, you know, miles better. That's 40 watts to start with. I think that's like 20 watts, isn't it? 18 watts or something. Now, bear in mind, the Vifa Helsinki is £299 in the UK. So basically, and because it's pretty new, I'm not seeing them come up second-hand yet. So you're going to pay £300 in the UK for the Helsinki, or £135 for a second-hand one of these. And they're normally in pretty good condition because, you know, someone's got to like their music to have paid the money in the first place. So, and for when you compare them, 135 to 300, this is, to me, a nicer sound. It's got less refinement and there's less clarity than the Helsinki, but the bass is much fuller. It's more fun. The bass on this is overemphasized. I mean, it's more in line with the JBL Extreme. It's over, but because you can embed your own custom profiles, you can reduce that bass. But okay, audiophiles are going to say the bass is over-edged, but I personally like that. And if you're someone who likes Extreme, but he thinks it's, from, you know, indoors it's a bit over the top, this is your man, really. So the Helsinki does reduce, I mean, it does reduce bass a little bit on maximum volume. Not much, but you know, anyone you're reading about it, you think it's perfect all the way out to top, but it does reduce a little bit on maximum. And so this, if you put it on, but if you put it on flat and maximum on that, maximum on Helsinki, you know, I think that, and this goes a little bit louder than the Helsinki, you know, it holds up really well, even for clarity, and the bass is more even at that point. But to me, this is a more fun, more full, and a much more value for money speaker. So I'm trying to describe just what to expect. So you're gonna, if you're disappointed with the Helsinki bass, which is, people who are disappointed is what they seem to point out, that it's a bit anemic, it lacks, you know, a satisfying bass, which the Oslo, by the way, does address. But this will, I think you're going to prefer this, especially if you pick it up second hand. To me, it's a no-brainer. £135 to pick up a speaker like this if you're thinking about the Helsinki. And you're not walking around with a handbag. I mean, yeah, fair enough. If you just don't want to carry a bag and you're going portable and you like to have the Helsinki like that, yeah, lovely. But otherwise, for most people, I think this is a far more usable. And, you know, it's wider. There's a little bit more stereo. It's not the greatest wide stereo in the world. Talking of wide stereo, in the app, it does have settings to set it normal or wide. I have to say, when you set it wide, the sound is terrible. But there, you know, you do have the option to set that like that. So, having talked about the app, let me just show you the main settings in the app. So this is the SongPal app by Sony. You'll go in, you'll see the speaker you want. So the screen before that, if you had more than one Sony product, you'd come in here, you'd select it. It's telling me I'm connected Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So of course you can actually use this to stream over your home network. It's got support for streaming services such as Google Cast and Spotify, etc. So the main settings that I want to show, obviously you can set up your network and everything from here and add apps and blah blah blah, but the settings, the main thing here, you go into sound, and by default you'll have a tick in Clearaudio. So by default it comes embedded with Clearaudio, which, as I said, is the auto app, which means it's adjusting to each song you play. But especially if you're going to play this at maximum, you're going to want to turn that off. To turn that off, you can't just press that. You actually have to go into the equalizer itself, and for some reason hip-hop R&B is always set by default. You have to go in and set the flat profile, and that then will turn off your Clearaudio. If you wanted to turn it back on, you then set that. But all these are then embedded in the speaker itself, so even if you don't use the app next time, it will remember it will be playing the last settings. But also the other nice thing is, go into equalizer and set your own custom profile. And there's your 5 band. So if you think that, well, the bass is a little bit overblown, and okay, it's not the greatest equalizer in the world, starting from 100 Hertz, but you do have the option of setting your own profile, whatever you want to do. So that's nice. Also, that's the main setting. So power options, by default 15-minute standby, but you can turn it off, it won't go into standby. And you've also got your battery level indicator down there. I want mine in standby. Other settings, so the codec does have support for LDAC, but of course you're going to need a player that supports LDAC, which are basically Sony's own products, but it does support AAC, so you're going to be using that rather than SBC. So if you, for some reason, you didn't want to use that, you come in here and you say SBC. I mean, that's the main settings. It does auto update and all that, so once you have the app on, it will automatically update. So, but that was the main thing I wanted to show you, that you can embed your settings, you can turn off Clearaudio, you can set it flat. For me, that's what sets it apart from, you know, it sounds nice anyway, but it sets it apart from the other speakers, because you can do that. You can't even do that with the Helsinki. So that's the basic overview at the end of the day. I still think these are more fun if you buy two. I prefer them because you can have stereo. It's not the last word in hi-fi. If I want hi-fi, I'm going to use a hi-fi system. But if I want a more refined sound and I'm just listening to the music and I want to hear closer to the pure music, I would use this. But I wouldn't use the Helsinki. I mean, to me, it just isn't fun. So I'm going to first of all let you hear some comparisons between playing it Clearaudio and playing it flat. I remember you, you left my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger, can't go without it much longer. Remember, I remember you. What a lot of people are complaining about, the bass reduction at maximum. I'm going to show you why they're probably using it with Clearaudio. So this is a comparison between maximum volume but with Clearaudio and then flat. And just to wrap the whole thing up, as you know, I keep talking about Helsinki only because it really annoys me just how hyped that speaker was. It's not a bad speaker, but it's overpriced and it's not that enjoyable to me for what it is. It's claiming it's a, you know, it's so much more hi-fi, yet you're playing over Bluetooth. How can it possibly be? Yes, it sounds more refined and clear, but anyway, enough about that. So this is a comparison with the Sony x77 on 70% volume and the Helsinki on 77%. So I'm going to use Clearaudio for that comparison, and then I'm going to do a comparison with maximum volumes. For that, I'm going to have the Sony on flat and the Helsinki on, seems to be everyone's preferred setting, the late night setting.
I remember you left my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt. I remember you left my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we
So, in my opinion, so much more satisfying than the Helsinki. It is a more refined speaker if you're someone who's looking at the JBLs or wants an alternative to the JBLs. If you've got an Extreme. Now, a lot of people said the JBL Extreme is oversized. Of course, it's overemphasized in the bass. That's what it's all about. But also, most people seem to say emphasize in the treble. My speaker never was. Always lacked in the treble. And for me, that kind of, if I put them side by side, this reduced that overblown, but it was still overblown on this, but satisfying and less overblown than the Extreme. And it added the treble that I was missing on the Extreme. So if your Extreme version is overblown bass and lacking highs, that will be more satisfying. It's not going to be satisfying to someone who does think the Helsinki is the last word in hi-fi. In fact, even Clavinet Junkie himself now prefers the Oslo, so kind of admitting that's not the last word in hi-fi. The bass is the problem on that speaker, and but they both sound kind of boxed in. This gives a bit more stereo, you know, because you can see it's a little bit wider. Anyway, so my recommendation is it's a no-brainer at £135-ish eBay UK money. Sony SRS X77.